So let's now work on logging the number of rounds and on creating this log that we can output on this game screen. For this, we should add a new piece of state to the game screen because these rounds are also just some state which we can log. So here I'll add my guess rounds and set guess rounds and initialize a new state which initially should hold an array. It will be an array because of course we have multiple rounds and we want to log the number that was guessed for every round. So therefore also the initial value, the initial first and only element we want to have in this array is the initial guess. That should be part of this array initially. And now we can update this whenever we guess a new number. So in the next guess handler, besides setting the current guess to the new random number, we also want to update the set guess rounds state or the guess rounds state with the set guess rounds updating function and update this to include this new random number into this existing array. Now, since we will update state based on a previous version of that state, we should use the function form of updating this state by passing a function to the state updating function. And here we get our previous guess rounds, so the previous state snapshot, and we return the new array, which is basically all our old array elements, which we can re-add into this new array with the spread operator, plus this new round number, this new random number that was guessed in this round. Now we can add this new random number at the end of this array or at the beginning, which is what I will do, so that when I do output the log, I can simply loop through these items and the latest guess will always be on top. This is not a must do, but something I want to do here for displaying this log. So now we update these guess rounds and we can now output them here. So therefore here we want to output all these rounds. We want to output this log information. We can do this by creating a view and then mapping our array elements into a list of other elements that will be output on the screen. So for this here we can use our guess rounds and simply map through them. And then we get our guess round, and for each round we want to output some text, let's say. For this, of course, you must make sure that text is being imported from React Native, otherwise this won't work. And then here at the bottom we output this text and we output this guess round. Now if we try this, we get an error here. We get an error because we should have a unique key for every element, as you learned. And indeed, here we should add a key, and the key can be the guess round because we know that it will be unique because what's actually in this guess rounds array are our guessed numbers. And since we can never guess the same number again due to how our logic is written here, it's a perfect unique key because we know that every number will only occur once in here. So therefore now if we save this and we reload, we can start a new game, maybe on Android to mix things up. And here 14 is the first number guessed, we see it here. And then you see this is being logged, but actually this is not looking right if we take a look at that. What's the problem here? The problem is that I added a tiny mistake here. It should be the new random number that's added as a new element to this array. So I mistyped and added the entire array again, which doesn't make any sense. It should be the new random number instead. So if we save this and reload and try this again, now this is looking better, and now we see that the correct numbers are being logged here at the bottom. So this is working, and this would be one way of solving this. But of course, you learned before that outputting lists like this works and can be okay, but if a list could get very long, then you might want to use flat list instead. Now, arguably, this list won't get very long because it will very likely not take much more than maybe 8, 9, or 10 guesses at most to derive the right number. And outputting that amount of items with this approach would be absolutely fine. Still, to learn it in the best possible way, we can use FlatList here instead of mapping a list manually. But I want to emphasize that in this situation, where we have a limited amount of list items, it wouldn't be horrible to do it like this. Still, to move to FlatList, we can import FlatList from React Native and use that instead to output all these items. And of course, feel free to implement this on your own first, because you learned how FlatList works. And in the next lecture, we're going to implement it together, and there we're then also going to create nicely styled list items together. But definitely feel free to do all these things on your own first as a practice before we then do them together.